Word to your mother, boys and girls. It is your boy Sniper West coming at you here from WizardSportsPicks.com. And we are here with another edition of the Wizards Crystal Ball. Today is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. And we are here to talk some college basketball, as that's really all there is to talk about right now. Obviously, the NBA is starting again on Thursday. Hockey will be back February 25th. Looking forward to all of that as far as personal handicapping and getting plays up on the sites. Conference tournaments, March Madness right around the corner. I know that's right in your wheelhouse, Wiz. And we had some fireworks last night out here, on the West Coast with UCLA and the UCLA and the Michigan State Spartans game. I did not watch the game, but it's always pretty interesting when ESPN Sports Center, they actually lead. There was some good college basketball on last night, with Michigan, Purdue, and everything. And they actually led with Mick Cronin's press conference, which was, some fireworks there. Sometimes there's some hostility between reporters and head coaches. And obviously Mick Cronin not really escorted, but kicked one of his own players off the court. There was some, going back and forth with the Michigan State, their fans over there on the other end of the court. But Wiz, what are your thoughts on that? Because it was a big story. It led SportsCenter this morning. So curious your thoughts on that whole situation.
Well, I'll also bring in the Jerome Tang for Kansas State incident there. So in the modern times of social media and kids, you cannot do what Jerome Tang did, really just, tearing up his kids in a press conference, and Mick Cronin losing his cool, because these kids it spreads through social media like wildfire. And, if you want to take something out on the kids, do it in the locker room, because it's a different kind of breed. These kids are fragile, not that they should be, but who wants to be blasted like that in front of the world? And these coaches like Cronin and Tang, this is a byproduct of poor recruiting, the inability of both of those guys to connect with their teams, to actually have them gel and buy into the culture that he's trying to do. And plus, they're not performing up to expectations, but it all is intertwined. You do a poor job in the NIL, the chemistry isn't there, you ridicule them in front of the world, you're going to have this explosion within the team that's going to show on the court. Now, Jerome Tang, both of them are wrong, in my opinion, on how they handled it. And, they're at fault. They recruited a poor team. Maybe they recruited decent players, but they have been unable to connect with them. So Jerome Tang's case, the Kansas State must honor their contract, because what he did is wrong, but it's not a violation of his contract. So, I know there's going to be a fight. The lawyers are going to get involved, and Kansas State's going to fight for not to pay him, and they should pay him. But look at yesterday. Tang is out, interim coach, and Kansas State blows out their opponent as a 4-point underdog. What does that tell you? Okay.
Yeah, they responded. They responded for sure.
Yeah. And UCLA, and you didn't know going into, normally I like to say bet Kansas State for that reason, but we didn't know. It was hard to determine how they were going to react, the lack of concentration, all the press and all that. in Mick Cronin's case, they just got blown out of the water in Michigan State. And, he throws out a kid, I just don't like the way, settle it in the locker room, but don't air your dirty laundry out in front of the public. I know, because I've been involved with kids in coaching. My son's a coach. We don't do that. We just don't do that. If we got something to say to a kid, we say it in private. We don't go in a press conference. And like Mick Cronin, an idiot, saying he had a question by maybe one of the students, reporters. Like, this is the worst question I've ever asked in my life. Come on, bullshit. It's not the worst question. It's just, I don't like it. I don't like it. And he's lost the team. And so did Jerome Tang.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens in college basketball. I think UCLA, well, they were down, I believe, I think they were down maybe 20 points at halftime, and the lead might have ballooned to a little bit more than that. But I think it's just reactionary. You're down, you're very frustrated, and you're trying to do things to fire up your team. And, it's all done out of frustration. Usually those things are. But yeah, you're right. You don't air the dirty laundry out in public. As you said. So we did have some pretty good basketball with Michigan and Purdue. I was actually on Purdue last night. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that game. I laid the points. I could have laid up to 5.5. They won by, I believe, 11 points. But
you played
well.
Michigan. You played Michigan?
I did. I played well. I played Michigan. That was one of my personal releases on the site, wizardsportspicks.com. Don't forget to go over to the website, by the way. Plenty of great handicappers over there. But they just played very well. They, they shot 57% from 3-point range. I mean, you're not going to lose many games when you do that. And they went 18-23 from the line. Largest lead was 20 points. They led the game for 84% of the game. So the game was pretty much over from the beginning. Purdue's a good team, but Michigan, I'll tell you what. I think I heard a statistic that not any of these Michigan starters are even projected to be drafted in the NBA, which is a testament to the coaching staff, right? Did you watch the game at all? Did you have any thoughts on it?
Well, when I did my rankings, if I'm not mistaken, I had Michigan as number one. That was before Arizona lost 2 in a row. That so I definitely think Michigan has deserves to be securely in the number 1 slot. Dusty May is a great coach. They're so well balanced. Purdue is they're playing well into that game. It's a tough place to play and win at, but the better team just proved itself much better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, looking at the current college basketball top 25 here.
Well, let me give you the top 3.
I don't know if you had a chance to look at it.
Let me give you the top. No, I don't look. I'll give you the top 4 in the Wizards' opinion. Michigan 1.
Okay, sure.
Michigan 1. It's a flip-flop between Duke and Houston, who I would have second or third. I can make a case. I put Duke second, Houston third, but you can flip-flop them, and UConn fourth. That's how and Iowa State. Iowa State, UConn, I can flip back and forth. But those would be my top 5. And I don't think there's any question. I'd have Florida close by, but that's it. Solid top 5. So I don't know where the standings are, the updated standings are.
Yeah, you're pretty much right there. Other than the only thing you really missed was Arizona. They have Arizona 4.
No, I'm sorry. So, I'm mistaken. Arizona, I would put, probably 4th. I'd put Arizona 4th, okay. UConn 5th.
Yep. So you hit the nail right on the head. Once again, the Wiz knows it's college basketball. So Michigan number 1, number 2, Houston, number 3, Duke, number 4, Arizona, number 5, UConn, and you hit Iowa State number 6 as well. They do have Florida a little bit lower, though. They have Florida number 12, Wiz.
Yeah, I don't buy that. Not the way they're playing. Nope. That's a little low.
Sounds like we should get some Florida. Sounds like we should get some Florida Gators futures in then, huh?
Well, I think the price is a little low for my liking, but
Yeah, there you go.
But I'll tell you, the one game I did stay up to watch was Houston, Iowa State. Man, was
Yeah,
that a good game.
it was.
Iowa State is just, you cannot beat them in Ames. You just cannot. It's ridiculous. Like they were down 10 late and they come back. That was a flip down. The whole game was back and forth. Physical. Iowa State was able to somewhat match their physicality. I just think it was a rock fight. If it wasn't for that 3 in the corner late in the game, deep, like 4 or 5 seconds left in the game, Houston may have won that game. The guard play of Houston with Flemings and their 7th year, their grizzly veteran other guard. They rebound the crap out of the ball. Their strength is their backcourt, not their front court. But Kelvin Sampson challenged one of their centers to get like consecutive rebounds on a shot, and he got 3 in a row late in the game. I mean, they practiced that all day long during their preparation for games. But what a game that was. Too hot. I mean, and we got one coming up that's really good. Arizona at Houston, if I'm not mistaken, Saturday. These games are Final Four caliber games. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and I was impressed by Duke taking apart Syracuse. Now, I know Duke was 21-point favorites, but man, they don't let the gas off the pedal. Boozer played until the last minute and they're up 35. I mean, I like that team. That team is so good and so well coached.
Absolutely. Yeah. Going back to Iowa State. So, you were talking about how Iowa State does not lose in Ames. You would be correct because they are 15-0 this year. Well, not this year, but the last 15, they're 15-0 at home. They are 48-2 straight up money line in their last 50 in Ames, Iowa. So that is, it's pretty tough to fade Iowa State at home. I don't care who they play. As you can tell,
you can't. I actually bet that game, not with a lot of confidence, but I actually bet Iowa State at -130 on the money line. I didn't have the guts to lay the 2.5, and you would have lost by a half. You would have won by a half if you bet Iowa State. Right. I just thought, as much as I love Houston, it's tough. You can't win in Ames. Just like you can't win the other. We had last week or something. Remember, Kansas was a dog at Allen Fieldhouse.
Arizona. Arizona at Kansas.
Kansas a dog at Allen Fieldhouse. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
If you're making a bet, you don't have to have the strongest opinion, but stand in line and collect most of the time if you're going to, at those places.
That's true. Yeah. Regarding the Houston Iowa State game. So if your totals betters, right, you had to sweat that over out because I gave a free play out on the under on that game because I thought, Houston, very defensively oriented team. Kelvin Sampson preaches defense, right? I thought, in a Final Four environment, I thought that it would be more defensive minded. So I had under 134.5 for a free play, and they scored 83 points in the first half. So I said, well, there went the free play. That thing's done. Well, they came out. They only scored 52 in the second half, and there was a good chance that game actually went under. It was a very low scoring second half. So, if you had the over, you definitely had to sweat that out. But, all kinds of great college basketball action this weekend coming up. Looking forward to it. We have conference tournaments right around the corner, and then we have the March Madness tournament. And let me tell you what, it does not get better than that. It's probably, March Madness is so great because it's not like the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl's one day and it's over. The World Series, maybe, 7 days of excitement, but March Madness, man, it just goes for a while. you're just engrossed in the. I mean, there's people betting on it in offices all over the country that don't even follow college basketball. They just get in on the tournament, and then all of a sudden, the whole nation's watching college basketball, right? So
yeah,
it's just such a great event.
This NCAA tournament, Sniper, is probably the best one I'm looking forward to in many years. And the reason is I've never seen so many great freshmen and leading their teams. And also there's a great you can make a case for like 12 teams to win it all. Like, even though I have leans on a few teams, I have leans on, maybe 3 or 4 teams. It's still 12 teams can do it, and I wouldn't fall asleep on, like, take a team like Miami of Ohio winning a couple games. I mean, first of all, they're undefeated they're undefeated this year. The only way they don't get into the tournament is if they lose a game during the season. And then they don't win it all in the conference tournament. If they go undefeated and they lose one game, they don't win their conference tournament. They deserve to be in. Because how hard is it to go undefeated? And, yesterday they went into UMass and there were 3-point favorites. And UMass has been playing good ball. They almost beat them. They still won by 9 or 10. I mean, come on, that team is really good. I'll give you another team. Let's say Merrimack wins the MAC. They're at the top of the MAC standings. They play such a funky zone that you can't duplicate that in practice. You can't replicate it. You can't. Merrimack can go, and it's like the Syracuse 2-3 zone when Boeheim was the coach. You can't simulate that. You can't. Now, Merrimack zone is the most unusual zone ever in the history of zones. So if they win their tournament, whoever's playing them is up against it. I don't care who you are. I mean, maybe Houston, because of this style of play, breaks it and just out rebounds them. But that type of zone, that's the beauty of the tournament. The matchups are nuts. Remember St. Peter's? Remember when they went to the Elite Eight out of the MAC? Their defense was absurd. You couldn't. There were like swarms of cockroaches, and hands, and it was ridiculous. So it's all about matchups. And so here, a 15th seed or a 14th seed. Could you imagine Miami, Ohio as a 14th seed? Like, who would want to play them the first round? I mean, it's a tricky matchup. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at Miami, Ohio, obviously they're undefeated. They're also 17-6 against the spread. And obviously they're favored every game they play because they're playing in the MAC, right? But that's impressive. Not only are they undefeated, not only are they beating all these teams, but they are beating them by more than the odds makers expect them to beat them by. Therefore, they're probably even better than advertised, right? Looking at Merrimack, same story. Merrimack is 18-9. They cover 2 out of every 3 games. They're 14-2. They're 14-2 in conference. They're 18-9 in total. And they're covering 2 out of every 3 games, 18-9 against the spread. So these teams, they're number 1 in their conferences, and they are better than advertised. So they could definitely make some noise.
No doubt. Now, what's really tough for a team like Merrimack or teams out of the MAC is that it's a 1-bid league. So let's say Merrimack wins their conference, gets beat by a point at the buzzer, they're out.
Yeah.
They're out. They're not getting an at-large bid. They're not. It's a 1-bid league. So, you have that whole body of work. And now let me tell you something. Another angle is teams are pounding teams if they can, because it's in the metrics. The bigger the distance, the more you blow out a team, the better. That's why Shire did take the foot off the pedal. They're up 30 in Syracuse, and he said, let's go for 40. right?
Yeah.
So it's not like, okay, let's take out everybody and put the scrubs in, and who cares if we're down up win 30, we can win by 18. So what? It's not the case. There's these metrics. It matters.
Yeah. Word to the wise when you're handicapping these games, obviously Duke is much, much better than Syracuse, but everybody should have laid whatever you should have laid the first half line. You should have laid the full game line because they just beat them down into submission. There's real no doubt about
I'll give you a game yesterday that was a complete stomping, meaning all balls out the whole game, right? No matter how far ahead they were, this team was going to pound them to the ground. NC State beating up on North Carolina. Check that one out. That was funny to see. The coach of NC State wanted to pummel North Carolina for other reasons, which we don't have to get into.
Will Wade's a good coach too. He used to coach LSU.
Damn good coach.
82-58. Yeah, they did beat him down pretty good. That was a good old fashioned take him behind the shed beating, right?
Yeah, and you saw it from.
So anyway, they never took the as you say, they never took the pedal off the metal. Yeah, they beat them 42-26 in the first half, so it was over from tip, right? Anyway, I do want to. I know, Wiz, you have a story from back in the day when you were growing up back in the city. We will get to that in 1 second. I do want to just give out a free play really quick here for the viewers and listeners. So we're going to go to an obscure division here, okay? So this game comes out of the Atlantic Sun Conference. It's Bellarmine and Lipscomb. This game is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and it is a rotation number of it's 306-571 as far as the rotation numbers go. I want to touch on that for a minute. So remember these extra games, the games in the smaller conferences, they have 6-digit rotation numbers instead of 3 digits, right? So it's these smaller conference games. For example, the Atlantic Sun, which this is the A-Sun, Bellarmine and Lipscomb. You also have the Patriot League, America East, the MAAC, the MAC, the MEAC, the MEAC, right? There's a few more. So all of these conferences, they're going to have 6-digit rotation numbers. And the thing with these, they're called extra games, right? So the thing with the extra games, too, you typically cannot buy points. Most books will not let you buy points for these games because there's just not as much information publicly available on them. So they don't want you having an edge on them. Plus, you probably can't get down any more than like $1,000 on these games, as opposed to you want to bet Michigan.
And less for the totals, less in the totals.
Yeah, definitely. You'll be able to get down a lot more in the bigger conferences than you will in these obscure conferences. But anyway, I'm looking at Bellarmine and Lipscomb tonight. So, complete contrast and profiles. Lipscomb, they struggle away from home. Their offense tends to dip on the road. They come off an 87-81 loss to Queens. They've won the past 6 head-to-head versus Bellarmine as well. So Bellarmine, they do have some revenge. The coaching staff, the fans, the boosters, they're going to let them know about that. Hey, these guys beat us all the time. We need to go beat them. We're on our home floor. Do not let these guys come in and beat us tonight. Spread's only 3.5 too, so they got a good shot to win the game outright. And Bellarmine, they defend well. They shoot well from the charity stripe too. They come off 2 losses as well, so I think they do want to bounce back. They're trying to stave off West Georgia and Florida Gulf Coast in the A-Sun standings too. So I like Bellarmine quite a bit tonight, to be honest with you. It's plus 3.5. I think they got a good shot to win this game outright. So it's rotation number 306-571 Bellarmine plus 3.5 over Lipscomb. That will be your official free play on this video today. And hopefully that cashes for you guys. Once again, go to the website, wizardsportspicks.com, and go ahead and get yourself. I have plays up there every day. Starting tomorrow, we have NBA back, and I'll be firing away on NBA for sure because I'm a sniper, and that's what I do. A sniper fires away. And NBA's back, and there's a lot of opportunities with tanking. Now, we could talk about this another time because I know we want to get into the Wiz story, but with all these teams tanking, I mean, they're sitting guys for a full fourth quarter. So if you can pick and choose your spots and figure out what teams are not wanting to win, you might have a good chance to fade that team and take the other side. So looking forward to NBA coming back.
Sniper.
Yeah.
Would you believe that I know a lot about Bellarmine? And I'll tell you why. My basketball academy that we had, the high school basketball academy, was in Louisville, Kentucky. And that's where Bellarmine is. Right. And I got really friendly with the head coach who retired recently, and the son took over. and Bellarmine would always play Louisville once a year. And they are a well-coached team. You know, they've struggled in recent years, but I like that team. I like that team. I like the coach. I think you're right. I think, you know, I have to say I agree with you on this game. I do, because I do follow Bellarmine.
Yeah, you know, yeah, Austin P. They're leading the conference. They're 13-1. They're 15-8. There's a trend with all these division leaders, and especially in the small conferences, they're all covered. Like Austin P. They're leading the division. They're 15-8 against the spread. Same thing with the MAC. Same thing with the MAAC with Merrimack as well. So, funny story about Austin P., which I believe is in Texas, if I'm correct.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But they all the crowd, you know, when you say, like, I'm a Dodger fan, let's go Dodgers, right? They all say, let's go P. Let's go P.
That's great.
Pretty funny.
That's great.
Anyway, let's get to the Wiz has a story that he wants to tell the viewers and the listeners. And I believe that you told me this goes back to your days in New York, right? I'll let you take it over from there.
Yeah. I want to tell a story every week because I grew up in the heyday of basketball in New York City on the streets. You know, I lived not far from Harlem, grew up on the Upper West Side. So just a few stops from 125th Street, and not far from Rucker Park, where some of the great street ball legends came out of. And we'll talk about Rucker in another story. But this is a story about sports in New York in 1969 was tremendous. You had the Mets, right? You had the Knicks, and you had the New York Jets. The New York sports has stunk for a few years now. And here you had three different teams from New York, like Joe Namath, 16-point underdog against the Colts, calling the victory, 69 Jets, right?
Yeah, and the Miracle Mets with Tom Seaver.
Right, Miracle Mets. And then you had the New York Knicks. And I was a big basketball fan. I used to lay in bed as a kid. So I was 12 at the time. And I would lay in my bed with the old transistor radio and a cheap pair of headphones, listening to Marv Albert call the Knick games and the New York Net games with that red-white ball. That was when Julius Erving was on the New York Nets. But I lived up the block. The apartment building was called the Lincoln Towers. And the old Garden was a couple train stops away from Lincoln Towers or where I lived. And right across the street from Lincoln Towers was a high school called Power Memorial. So I got to know back then Lou Alcindor. And Lou Alcindor, you know, obviously, we don't have to say what kind of player he became, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But he was a string bean. He was a 6'11" string bean. And his best friend was Mitch Albloom, who was the writer of sports. He was the sports reporters, the author of Tuesday with Maury, and some other really great books. They were pals. And I remember I got to know them both. And Lou Alcindor is a 16-year-old. Mitch Albloom is a 16-year-old. And me is like a 12-year-old, would kind of tag around them. And they would play. Lou Alcindor would put on a fake beard. And they'd take the train up to Harlem and play 2-on-2 for money. And I used to watch those games. Those games. It was so funny. Nobody would know that. Like, I mean, that's like, you know, and here Mitch Albloom was like 5'7", white kid. And here's Lou Alcindor, 6'11", string bean. He couldn't weigh more than 170, right? And high school players from Power Memorial. But across the street in Lincoln Towers lived almost the entire 69 Knick team. Dave DeBuscher, Willis Reed, Mike Reardon, Dave Stallworth. I think Cazzie Russell also lived there. I don't think he was on that team, but he lived there. Basically, the whole team. And the coach of the 69 Knicks was a guy named Red Holtzman, and a great coach. They had a 7:00 game at the Garden. And I used to cut school at lunchtime, go down to Riverside Drive Park on 75th Street, and watch the Rucker boys come down and scrimmage against the 69 Knicks. And Holtzman never knew. They had a 7:00 game and they were tearing it up on the court. And the Rucker boys would outplay them at times. But here's a fierce battle on the courts of Riverside Drive. And 3 hours later, they had to dress up at Madison Square Garden to play the Celtics. Yeah. And I would sit outside the gate, as a kid. I wasn't inside the playground. I was this pipsqueak outside the gate, cutting school and just watching these guys go at it. And you see the Rutger guys. I remember seeing Herman the Helicopter. The Helicopter, it was like 5'5", and he can take a quarter off the top of the backboard, do a 360 spin and grab the quarter. Ernie Manigault, the GOAT. It's 69. How many years ago is it? 57 years ago? Right? 56, 57 years ago. Yeah. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember. So this is just one story from the past that I have so many of these great sports stories, going back to being, I was following sports when I was 2 years old. So this is just one that I just wanted to tell.
That's beautiful. That's an awesome story. Yeah, Rucker Park, you hear, I think even to this day, Rucker Park is still a thing, right? There's still all kinds of pickup games going on over there all the time. From what I hear, I haven't been in New York in quite a while, but I hear it's still a thing. Another funny story, obviously, 1969, which was quite a year. I think that was the Charles Manson year, if you remember that too. But 1969 was obviously the moon landing as well. And I'll tell you a funny story. I saw this on Twitter about half an hour ago before we did the show. Gaylord Perry, okay, that is actually a name of a pitcher, Major League Baseball pitcher. And man, he must have taken a lot of ribbon for having that name back in 1969, I'll tell you what. But he was drafted, I believe, 1964 by the San Francisco Giants. And the manager, someone said, this guy, I know he's a pitcher, and the pitchers used to hit back then, right? They used to hit in the 9th spot in the order. And someone said, this guy's going to hit a home run one day. And the manager of the Giants said, you know what? There's going to be a man on the moon before Gaylord Perry hits a home run. And I crap you not, the day of the moon landing, Gaylord Perry was on the mound 5 years later, and they all had a moment of silence for the landing on the moon. And half an hour later, Gaylord Perry hit a home run.
Hey, that's tremendous. Hey,
and that's a true story.
Going back to 1969, I used to get on a train. I'm 12 years old and take the Flushing line to the old Shea Stadium. That's where the World's Fair was. And
yeah,
I think it was the 7th game of the division playoffs, Mets against Houston, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Houston, before they went to the World Series. They had to win that game. And I paid like $5 to get in. And as the game was going on, I'd sneak down closer and kneel, right? There was no seats. So now it's the bottom of the 9th. And the Mets, I'm already close to the dugout, right? And there's 2 outs, and I'm kneeling. And back then, they didn't have horses and they didn't have the security, right? So now I'm not sure it was on the mound. It was Tom Seaver. I'm not sure, but I just remember with 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, I'm standing with my hands on the dugout, on the Met dugout.
Oh, wow.
The Mets win on a hit. I leap the dugout. I'm wearing a long blue coat, like a cheap blue light Parker. The game's over and I'm running. I want to steal second base. So I'm the first one on the field and I'm running and I get to second base and I'm trying to pull it up because it's like nailed down and I can't get it out. So I turn and there's thousands of people starting to run after me, run like on the field, and I can't get it out. And I go, shit, I got to ditch this. And my plan B was to tear the grass out of the ground, stuff it in my pockets, and sell the grass in envelopes to my friends at school the next day. Shea Stadium championship grass. So I didn't get the base, and I loaded my jacket full of grass. I just kept tearing the grass, and everyone's like running over me, and it's a madhouse. So I get the grass, and now that summer, I decide my parents send me to Hall of Fame baseball camp in Pauling, New York. I want to be a catcher. And we're in the camp, and that week that I'm there is July 4th, Independence Day. And I'm sitting with all these kids, right, Sniper, with all these kids, and they put on a film of the 69 Mets, that game, the last inning.
Mm-hmm.
And there I see myself getting close to the dugout. And then they show this kid running to second base and trying to tear second base. And all these kids around me are saying, what is that jerk doing? He's trying to steal second base. And I go, that's me. That's me. It was hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how much
did they buy the grass?
Oh, yeah. I sold
did the grass sell? Yeah.
I sold it. I sold out. I would go around the school saying, Met grass here, championship grass, $1 an envelope, $1 an envelope. Wow. I sold out of Met grass.
Wow. Well, yet another amazing story from 1969 that we did not know. Man, I'll tell you what, 1969 seems like the most eventful year in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on in the world, right? But anyway, so this has been another edition of the Wizards Crystal Ball, and man, we had a lot of laughs on this one. I love this episode. A lot of really good stories. So don't forget to go over to the website, ladies and gentlemen, wizardsportspicks.com, and grab yourself some picks, some packages. We are looking to put money into your pockets. Take it from your bookmaker, put it in your pocket. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. It does help out our analytics. And for the Wizard and for myself, we will do the show again on Friday. I'm doing a show tonight. It's called the Wizard Sports Layer with a couple of guys from the website as well. And we do Beyond the Lines every day. So a lot of YouTube content coming at you every single day. And go check out the website.
I got one thing to say.
Sure.
I suggest I'll give you a winner. Give all the fans a winner tonight. Okay? Sure thing.
Okay. Sure thing.
Watch this show with either a bourbon next to you or smoke some Met grass.
There you go.
Because this show was hilarious. Like I enjoyed this show, man. But you got to do it with a bourbon or some Met grass.
Yeah, or maybe both. Maybe both.
Okay, buddy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with the Wizards Crystal Ball on Friday. Make sure you put it on your calendar, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out and keep firing.